Imagine this tower as the computer processing data center. And every little building is a different application that runs connected to this data center. This is where all your information and data lives on the current internet today. Every single app or building, let's say Netflix, Instagram, Fortnite, all these different apps, you need permissions to enter and to use what's inside. And in order to use what's inside of these buildings or these apps, you need to pay a rent, pay a fee. Some are apartment buildings. That you have to pay to live inside, to get access. But there's a common theme here. There's a front door, there's a back door, and there's windows. There's power going to each application or every house or every building from the central processing data or legacy tech, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google, Microsoft. And so if the big guy goes down for whatever reason, loses power, gets demolished, is a central point of attack for terrorism, then all of these buildings and apps are affected. They all shut down because they rely on that single point of failure, single point of connection. And so now you're locked out of all these buildings or apps. If you lose your keys, you forget your username, your password, you cannot get back into these buildings. Or your apps on your phone. So why does all this matter? Well, it's not very safe, and it's kind of a fragmented dependency that all these apps and buildings have on this centralized power source. That power source has known to go down for maintenance, upgrades, firmware, all kinds of different types of upgrades. But the problem is that you lose access to all your apps, your information, your data, and yes, your Web3 wallets. So let's think that this building is a Web3 wallet. This building is a Web3 wallet. Your money lives in there. You don't own your data, information, or money because it lives inside these different apps, different wallets, right? So it's not owned or controlled by you at all. So you don't own the power source and you don't own the apps. So really, you don't own anything. You don't own your data, information, or money. Now, here's where cloud engines comes in with the Internet Computer Protocol. Cloud engines are able to run on these big centralized data centers. And there's hundreds of thousands of them all over the world, different geographic locations. And they power these little buildings, apps, websites, Web3, wallets, everything that's digital, that's internet that we know about today. What cloud engines do is they run on top of these centralized data centers as a power source. They run on top of these apps and games. And they could be the safe access or the digital identity ID.ai login for the user in order to secure your information and data no matter what happens to this big power source. If this goes down, the cloud engines continue to run. They're the coordination layer of all of these apps, games, houses, apartments. They connect them all. ICP cloud engines on the Internet Computer Protocol is a computing source that uses all of the centralized data centers and all the apps, websites, games that run on different servers and hardware and GPUs all over the world. The cloud engines connect and coordinate all these informations, technologies, Web3, money, digital economies, to keep the fabric of the internet complete, to keep it alive, to keep it running, to never go down, to never rely on just one centralized source of power, but to run as a global operating system, a tamper-proof, unhackable, chain key encrypted coordination layer that never goes down. It's not owned by nobody. It's not anyone can build on it. It's the Internet Computer Protocol, so you can build on it from the ground up, full stack with Caffeine.ai. Or you can have your traditional buildings, houses, platforms, apps, games, Web3 wallets, decentralized wallets that still live and run on these centralized computing power cloud, legacy clouds. You can have all those run their back-end systems, their verification systems, their proof and identity through the Internet Computer Protocol layer. Think of the computer protocol as the mesh cloud engine that coordinates all the information, data, and digital economy around the world. The entire globe becomes one computer global operating system. That is the blockchain. That's all verifiable compute, all has a hash and receipt for transactions, for computation, for running all these different apps, websites, games, platforms, without the user, you, giving up your rights or exposing your digital information, data, or money, so that you're not relying on this guy, centralized legacy cloud infrastructure, power source, Amazon Web Services, Apple, Facebook, Google, Microsoft. You don't want to rely on the current infrastructure that exists today. You want to rely on an infrastructure that uses all the computer hardware, like clusters of GPUs, clusters of computers that run and operate all over the world, that work together as one big operating system for all of this information, data, and digital Web3 economy, for all the money, tokenization, real world assets that exist today. This is the future. This is where things are going. This is rolling out in real time today, right now. The Internet Computer Protocol. You can own a part of the infrastructure. You can be a node provider or subnet for the entire internet itself. And you can also own the tokens, which are fuel to power the Internet Computer Cloud engine. You can buy tokens that's used to burn and get destroyed, which brings the inflation down, which brings the value of the token up as more and more adoption occurs, which is currently happening worldwide. Governments, states, and organizations are moving to this tamper-proof, secure layer. You don't own this. You don't own your information, your data, your bank accounts. You don't own these buildings. You don't own this car. I mean, the bank owns everything. The government owns everything. Big legacy tech owns the internet. They own you and your information. Even if you paid cash for this car, you have a title and registration that you have to have by law, which basically gives permission to the government and state full ownership and control of that vehicle if you're not around, or if you're passed, or if it's abandoned. So you don't own anything. The government and the banks own every single piece of asset that has any real weight and value in terms of what you own, how much you're worth, how much borrowing power you have, how much credit you own. But all of that information and data and money and credit now can be owned by the user on true decentralized Web3 global internet computer protocol, the operation layer, the coordination layer of global compute, not owned and controlled by any centralized organization, government. Anyone can build on it. It creates efficiency. It's the future. It's here. internetcomputer.org. Until next video, stay groovy.